I felt like I had to drop a quick video. So Todd Chrisley and Julie Chrisley have checked into jail. And here's the whole story of what went down and what it's going to be like in detail from the prison itself. So let's get into it. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. You never know what you're going to get on my channel. So about 15 hours ago, Todd posted this. He's always on time, meaning God. Fight the good fight. And then he played this woman singing religious music, Christian religious music, I think like uplifting. So I did do a video when Chrisley was first found guilty where I talked a little bit about what his life was going to be like in prison. But I included different things in this video so they complement each other. I just want to say this isn't a repeat. So Todd went to FPC Pensacola in Florida. It's freezing here, so it's kind of a bummer for him because I'm sure the prison was very cold. It's been like 30 degrees in Florida, as I've mentioned in other videos, which, you know, one nice thing about being in prison in Florida is that the weather doesn't get really cold very often. So, you know, the prisons hopefully aren't cold, you know. I mean, I'd hate to think of people freezing in prison. It's just awful. He's gonna have green pants, a green shirt, and black steel-toed boots and white socks. Here's an example of the uniform. So sort of kind of like a military look, I guess. Todd is definitely gonna struggle with the color green. Just saying, trying to make light of it. They're woken up at 4:45 in the morning and they have to have breakfast between 5 and 6 a.m. And then they make their beds that have to be pristinely done in a clean area of their room, and that has to be done by 6:30 a.m. A diagram of the directory of buildings at the prison. There's a gatehouse and a laundry facility, a paint storage building, recycling, phone room, a pool hall and sunbathing area, hazardous material storage, hobby shop, food service, library and recreation, training center, admin, and there's a dorm area, mechanical room, food service, greenhouse, chapel, and music room, a weight pavilion, rec, art, barber area, a dormitory that's sort of separate, a bus station, and education area. This is like a nice facility, this one, compared to some others that I've heard and seen. So he starts his job at 8 a.m. and it ends at, either at 3 or 5 p.m., depending on what he chooses to do for his job. The best thing to do, as I understand it from experts in prison, is to stay busy and plan for the future so you have hope. There's a lot of jobs you can do in prison: cooking, plumbing, librarian, yoga instructor, etiquette teacher. We found that out from Ghislaine Maxwell. Landscape worker, dishwasher, laundry worker, and it looks like they're also open sometimes for you to come up with your own classes and things you can do to benefit the community, but you got to get permission. And so that's interesting. I'd say Todd would be a good preacher or motivational speaker. So maybe that's what he should do, is, you know, do a regular job and then do a motivational speaking class. That would be good. Lunch is served at 11 a.m. and dinner is served around 5:30. And it can be good food, it turns out, Teresa said, because if you, from Real Housewives in New Jersey, if you have good cooks that work in the kitchen that are inmates. So it depends on your inmates. Like, you know, Teresa worked in the kitchen for some of her jobs, and she was an excellent cook. So the food wasn't bad because she was a good cook. But, you know, so I guess it can also range. But generally, I heard the food's terrible, just saying. That's why people get so thin in jail. They also do a nighttime mail call, and then everyone has to have lights out by 10:30 p.m. I've heard it's very loud in the facilities, though, so it's really hard to sleep. Todd will be able to see his family, up to 5 people at a time. Todd also is appealing his case, which means because he's asking for bail, there's a potential opportunity for him to get out of jail while he waits for his appeal to be heard. Now, his daughter, Savannah, has said that she is going to literally put her life on pause for the 10 years that he's in prison, if that's how long it is, because she doesn't want him or her mom to miss anything. So she's not going to get married or anything until they're out, which a lot of people think is unfortunate, because life is yours to live and you should live it, and you shouldn't miss out on things. You can always do another wedding when they get out, or something, re-celebrate something special. These are all social constructs, but I do think Savannah shouldn't let this, the PTSD as it is going to be really hard for her. So I just think she shouldn't punish herself any more than she already has, because it's going to make her parents feel bad. I think Julie and Todd, if they're normal people, will not want their daughter to do that, because it'll even add to the guilt they already feel. Okay, so let me play you a very cool soundbite from the director of White Collar Advice, which is a guy who went to prison, who became a consultant for people going to prison, so they know what to expect and how to handle it. And he was on a YouTube channel by Harvard lawyer Lee. She went to Harvard, and that's her channel. And this is what he said. He did a few interviews, but I wanted to play this for you today.
First of all, are Todd and Julie going to be treated any differently, either better or worse, because they're celebrities? What's going to happen to them that's different because they're celebrities? Anything?
Because they're celebrities, some staff who may be fans of theirs could look to cozy up to them and say, I'm a fan of yours. I'm sorry that you're here. I empathize with you. So because they're known, and they may have fans, both with guard and staff, both with guards and their fellow prisoner, they need to address how they're going to respond to that. It was super easy for me to go to prison. Didn't nobody know me? When you go to prison and people are expecting you, in part because prison can be a boring environment for some, they're looking for the new people. This shakes it up a bit. This is exciting. We are waiting for you. So they've got to understand that more eyes will be on them, and it's in their interest to learn the nuances of prison, the written and unwritten rules, because one mistake, associating with a staff member for 35 seconds too long, can lead to a whole parade of horribles on the inside. So it's harder for them because they can be targeted and subjected to additional scrutiny because of their stardom. It's the reason they've got to prepare properly for prison. They should be doing that right now.
You'll like to hear about this. This is the living conditions at the jail described by an expert.
A lot of counts in federal prison.
What are their living circumstances likely to be like? Will they be multiple people in a room, a roommate? What does it look like?
We prefer to call it a bunkie in federal prison. So it'll most likely be a cubicle situation or a pod. So there'll be a very large dorm, and with a very large dorm with four quadrants, so to speak, like A, B, C, and D. There can be a cubicle where 2 or 3 people can be in the cubicle. There can be a pod where there can be a handful of people in the pod. Some prisons like Lompoc, there's no separation at all. Imagine a gym with 150 bunk beds, and there's very little separation.
Yes.
So it would be wise for them to understand and learn some of the unwritten rules of federal prison. God knows I cover enough of them on the White Collar Advice TikTok and elsewhere. But it would be wise for them to understand that their bunkie probably will have been in prison for a very long time. And it would be in their interest to really understand this environment before manipulating their way into a better job, or paying someone to do their job, or speaking to staff, which is a huge no-no. They're moving into a foreign world. But they'll most likely be in a cubicle or dorm-like situation. The bathrooms are private shower stalls, private toilets, open urinals for him while he's in prison. Pretty clean. It's people's jobs to clean them, but they'll adjust pretty quickly. Initially, the noise is tough, right? So you're in this huge dorm. Because they're a new prisoner, they'll be at the front of the dorm, lights above you, people coming in and out. It could be close to the bathroom, so you hear flushing all night. It could be close to the phones or the TV room, so it's very loud.
Sounds great.
So I would encourage them not to complain. And I would encourage them to adjust well, because in time they're going to want to move to the back of the dorm.
Todd Chrisley
or
not
someone
complaining.
Told me in federal prison, you're currently in East LA, the front of the dorm. If you do the right things, you'll get to Beverly Hills, which is the back of the dorm. It took about 3 months.
I love it.
Okay. 3 months, huh? That's not very long, really.
It was pretty good.
So anyway, in the description of this video, I will put the credits, but I'll also include a video I did where Teresa in the video is giving advice to Chrisley based on her experience in prison, and she would give you insight in what she says in that video that I did on what Julie is going through, which would be slightly different than what Todd's going through, because Todd's going to a low security prison and Julie's going to a minimal security prison, which I think is even easier, or it is easier. So that's it. All right, let me know what you guys think. How's this going to turn out? Give me your predictions. That's what I really want. And if you've been to jail, tell me some more stuff that we don't know in the comments. We're not going to judge you, not on my channel, that's for sure. All right, you guys, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Mwah.